Join my free forever community. The only reason I have that filter is because I want to keep out the bots and the douchebags. So pulling up the March stories. Y'all, the reason I'm starting this and the reason that I'm going live is this is too much to keep up with. It's too much to have to contend with. And I feel like the best way for us to do that is live together in person with each other. The very first one is I honestly kind of it's going to be interesting for us to see how it is that we attend to this. Anthropic just sued the Department of Defense over their supply chain risk label. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the DoD basically came out and said, "Hey, we want to use your software to kill people." Anthropic said, "Yeah, we don't want you to do that." And so then the DoD said, "All right, then you're a supply chain risk, and they're not allowing anybody in the government to use it." This story comes from the Morning Brew. Anthropic is suing the Pentagon after being designated a supply chain risk, a label usually reserved for hostile foreign nations. This is brilliant, which is already resulting in canceled contracts. The lawsuit claims that blacklisting violates First Amendment rights and could jeopardize hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for AI contractors. This actually has really significant implications for small businesses because this type of policy change can massively, massively impact how well an application like this can grow, get funding, proliferate, etc. So what happens here is going to be really interesting to see. Generally speaking, to be honest with you, I think of all the countries in the developed world, we tend to be a little bit more business friendly, but it'll be interesting to see what happens, and absolutely something to pay attention to. Right now, Claude's my go-to. And if you don't know, Anthropic owns Claude. So the fact that this is happening is really interesting because they're presently the front runner. I don't know if that continues to be true. We'll have to see. I've jumped ship from ChatGPT. Everybody that I know has too. I'd be interested in y'all's opinion on that, by the way. Drop it into chat. If you're here live with me, you can drop it into the Zoom chat. Otherwise, drop it into wherever it is you're working. What AI tools are you using? What's your favorite? What's your go-to? What's the most common? The next story comes from NVIDIA. NVIDIA launches Nemo Claw, an open source AI agent platform. The story comes from ASO World. NVIDIA just released a free open source framework for building and deploying AI agents that act as digital employees for complex, multi-step enterprise tasks. This, I hate to say it, is what we've been waiting for. This is like the Roblox of AI agents. This is the platform that allows the creation of other AI agents from an application that actually has the infrastructure to really do some damage. Other people have tried to deploy this. Nobody has the firepower that NVIDIA has because they're the ones that actually makes the chips. NVIDIA right now, interestingly, is the backbone of all AI. So I think it's really cool that they're doing this. It's also very, 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 what would you call it? There's a lot of foresight in this type of move. The fact that they made it open source because it allows for crowdsourcing of technological development. And up until this point, AI in the Western world has actually been really proprietary. Interestingly, we've had a switch, we've had a role reversal. The Chinese have been massively open source, and those of us in the States have been ultra proprietary, which is usually it's reverses the other way. From ASO World, this democratizes high-level automation, allowing small and mid-sized businesses to bypass expensive closed ecosystems like Microsoft or OpenAI. Entrepreneurs should stop trying to be developers and instead watch for a flood of new, specialized, and affordable tools built on this framework. If you want to know the new entrepreneurial opportunity, it's figuring this shit out. If you want to go crack this NVIDIA Nemo Claw is what it's called. I think that thing is super, super cool. Honestly, that should have been the story that ran first. That one's awesome. From TechCrunch, Jan Lee Kuhn raises $1 billion for AMI Labs World Models. One of the godfathers of AI secured $1 billion in seed funding for a $3.5 billion valuation to build AI that understands and reasons about the physical environment. This is one step closer to robotics. Once robotics catches up, everybody in the digital or everybody in the analog world is going to experience what everybody in the digital world is already experiencing. Oops, I'm hearing myself. So keep an eye on that because that's when we're going to jump the fence. If you're in a non-digital business and you think you're safe from AI, stories like this will teach you otherwise. From the Daily Tribune, New York judge rules AI chatbot conversations lack attorney-client privilege. Something to pay attention. Everything that you're saying to your AI tool can be subpoenaed. A court ruled that conversations with AI are not protected by privilege, meaning strategic or legal sessions held with an AI are subject to discovery and litigation. Entrepreneurs must immediately audit team usage of AI for strategic or legal communications. That's honestly just a warning. Everybody should probably be ahead of that. As you know, small business owner, at least have a written policy so you have something to back up on. The Decoder backup story study warns of AI brain fry. Nobody cares. Investing.com. ReadyBucks launches crypto collateralized business loans. That's interesting. Small businesses can now get cash advances by using their Bitcoin as collateral, which I think is amazing. If you're going to do that, I'd be really interested in anybody who's actually going after that. If you have Bitcoin, especially given how tumultuous it's been, it's kind of cool that they're going that bullish on it. From CNBC, Microsoft increases Office tiers for AI integration. If you use a Microsoft Office product, I'd love to know why. I think that that's a level of absurdity that has to be forced on people. But if somebody out there really loves Microsoft, it'd be helpful for me to know how and why and what you think we can do to get you off of it and bring you over to the light side, which is anything but Microsoft. Vertical SaaS, Rebar lands $14 million for AI HVAC quoting. The reason I think this story is so important is because we're going to see hyper niche AI utilization. And if you haven't seen that in your industry, you're going to. And now, the last story from SaaS Market Report is B2C SaaS growth outpaces B2B in Q1. That's surprising. B2C SaaS growth, so business to consumer SaaS is outpacing B2B in Q1, which kind of blows my mind. Uh, and it actually hit a 2-year high of 6.1%. Those are the news stories. And now, for the first time ever, we're going to pivot to digital, public, daily masterminding. Who do I have here? I've got Dylan. Dylan, thanks for having your camera on. Makes me feel like I'm talking to a real person. Bash, Kai, and Samsung SM. Samsung, if you want to add a real name, you can. You don't have to. I love you no matter what. If you're watching the live stream, you can come join us live. Just go to dailysigh.ai or 3x Freedom. And the point of these conversations is for us to just figure out what the hell's going on in the world and how we attend to it. Kind of want to open up the forum. Dylan, how did I do here? Anything that I didn't say that I should have? Any news stories you think I missed?
No, I thought it went well. I like your new setup, new angle.
Yeah, appreciate that,
Um,
man. I'm actually looking at my teleprompter so I can, it looks like I'm looking at the camera. I wanted to make this more personal.
nice. I'm curious if, um, do you think there's any way for a person to improve the way they think about the application of AI, or do you think that it's just practice and exposure?
No, I love, dude, this is my favorite question in the whole world. It's almost like I paid you to ask me this. So here's my opinion on the utilization of AI is we need to have a massive paradigm change, especially as business owners, but I think for everybody. AI functions best from a first principles perspective. So you asked, how do I think about AI? And my response is from a first principles perspective. I actually have a YouTube video planned called How God Would Use AI. Here's the wrong way to use AI. And I did this recently. This is what made me think of it. Do you know who Jason Fladlin is? Jason's the god of the webinar world. He's like they call him the $1 billion webinar man. He was my business partner for a long time in the Driven Mastermind. I love Jason. He's brilliant and he's great at YouTube. And so I was watching a YouTube video from Jason Fladlin and he had this really great call to action right in the middle of the video. And I thought, man, I need to do that. So I went to Claude at the time, which is my favorite AI tool, and I said, hey, rewrite my YouTube script so that my calls to action are as good as Jason Fladlin's. And it rewrote the YouTube script, and it was like a little bit better, but it wasn't great. And then I thought, man, I'm asking the wrong freaking question. So I did this deep dive, and my EA Vicente helped me, and we created. I say we, it was really Vicente, but I take all the credit. We created a first principles document on the neurobiological and anthropological underpinnings of what motivates humanity. So, from a neuroscientific perspective, a biological perspective, an anthropological perspective, what motivates people to action from like small mammals up to humans on an evolutionary scale. And once we created that document, then we created a document from there, understanding the motivations of humanity. How would we catalyze people to specific actions like, comment, subscribe, etc. And then once we had that first principles document, then we uploaded it to AI, and then we said, rewrite the script. And dude, the difference was insane. It was insane. but it speaks to what we're talking about. You can't just go to AI and say, help me make a website, help me write this paper, help me whatever. You have to teach it the way you want it to think, which is way harder. You know what I mean? Like it's so much easier to be like, help me do calls to action like Jason Fladlin. It probably took us in total 10 hours to get all the first principles documentation to really understand what motivates humans. But then that 10 hours now yields results forever because I have the documents, and first principles by definition don't change, or they shouldn't. So I don't know, dude. How did I do with that question?
Can you hear me?
I got you now. Yeah.
Okay. My Zoom is frozen, and so I was trying to keep my microphone away as to not cause feedback, but if you can still hear me, that's great. Um, yeah, I thought it was a very interesting answer. I was looking more for mm, like how would you practice applying AI to problems?
Mm.
I don't know if that changes things.
No, what do you care about? What do you care deeply about? Like for you personally in your life right now today, what's something that if God gave you a magic wand, you would use to fix, change, improve, build, create, generate? Like what's something that you wrap your soul around and love?
I would have AI automatically do settings for models for a 3D printer and the filament associated with it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm
there's
going to be a little obnoxious, and I hope that's okay. First of all, it's a really good answer, but I want to forget that AI even exists. What's just something because that's a means, it's not an end, right? Like you don't love 3D printing, I imagine you love creation. What's something that you actually care deeply about because you care about it? Oh, and I think I lost Dylan. I did. When he comes back, we'll continue. If you're watching us live, you can join us by going to dailysigh.ai. Bash, you've got your hand up.
Hey, good morning from Sydney, Australia.
Hey, brother, how are
I
you?
have, um, yeah. So the issue that I'm having, we're deploying a lot of AI into our business, and we have a B2B services business. We help our businesses grow strategically through organic means as well as paid ads and stuff like that. So we're sort of like a hybrid agency. The problem that I'm having today and right now is convincing my clients to engage with our AI with the same level of fees and even bringing better outcomes than the usual. But because I feel that sometimes that they're dinosaurs,
Mm.
they just prefer the face-to-face online type situation. So, what is it that I can do to educate them, raise their awareness that it's safe, you could rely on AI, you could get the same quality and move on? And by the way, I've released about 20% of my workforce. Of my staff because I've been deploying the AI and it's been great because I've been saving costs, money, and obviously more efficient. But I do have that resistance from my clients.
Yeah, help me understand your business a little bit more. Who is your clientele? Do you have a specific avatar that you serve?
Yeah, we're super niche, man. We work in the disability industry and we help businesses that provide support to people with disability to grow their businesses.
Okay. Um, this is my soft opinion, or maybe we'll call it a strong opinion loosely held. And I'd love for you to challenge me on this, okay? Bash, I'm not telling you this is the right answer. This is just how I feel about life. I don't think you should. I actually feel like what you've identified is a really strategic unlock for your industry and the opportunity to get out ahead of all your competitors' mistakes. Um, the entire business world is chasing that which scales.
Right.
It's all you see. You open up your news feed, LinkedIn, emails, whatever, stories, and everybody's like, look at what AI can do, look at what scales, look at how easier this is, look at how much time we're saving, look at, margins are increasing, etc. And then people do exactly what we're talking about. They let people go and then they rely on AI. The issue with scalability is there's an inverse ratio between scalability and profitability. The more something scales, profit and margin are found in inefficiency by literal definition. Anything you can make money on, you make money on because you can produce, find, generate, build, or perform that service with a greater degree of efficiency than somebody else. So all you're doing is arbitraging inefficiency. Your customer base is telling you, we don't want to talk to AI.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that's a hell of an opportunity for you because bet money, all your competitors are pushing no, it's okay, it's fine, it's the same, it's better, don't worry, etc. And they're pushing customers to AI. I think what we should do as entrepreneurs is we should be asking ourselves, what does not scale? What are the things that do not scale? What can't AI do yet? And on a long enough timeline, I can't think of many things AI can't do yet. But for right now, AI can't talk to people with disabilities in a way that makes them comfortable because if it could, it would have already, right? So all these
Correct.
people are coming to you saying, hey, dude, we don't want to do this. I don't think the answer is to convince them or show them or treat them. I think what it is for you to be the one person in the market saying, hey, I want y'all to know we have the infrastructure that allows for the scalability and the strength of AI. But I'm going to put you on the phone with a real live human being because we care and we can. And I think that
Yeah.
that carves out a value proposition that would set you apart from anybody else that wants to operate in your space. I'd love for you to fight me on that if you think it's a bad approach or if there's something I don't understand about your model.
Um, so yes, I mean, you obviously we do give them the human factor, and it does give us an edge. But in saying that, the solution really lies in AI. Like for example, we help them unlock their profits in their business by analyzing the stuff that they do, right?
Yeah.
So when I put them in front of AI, even though that I'm still there, they're like, oh wow, Bash, man, we really didn't see this, even though we have an accountant on board, right?
Mm.
So the AI is going way beyond bringing up great results about their business. So in terms of the benefit of AI, they see it really tangibly.
Yeah, but they want somebody there holding their hand.
Absolutely, they
Yeah.
do.
Dude, I actually think that's a benefit.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing, you're gonna miss these days. You're gonna miss
Yeah.
because the day that they don't see that benefit is the day that they realize like, oh, I don't need Bash, I need AI. So I think
Yeah.
for as long as you can put them in touch with somebody that locks hands with them and says, "Hey, let me show you how this works. And then starts to point things out. I think that's a massive benefit to you. And it's the type of thing, I don't know what your monetization model looks like, but in my opinion, it's the type of thing you can charge a premium for. You
Oh,
know,
we
like
absolutely do. We
that's
absolutely
great.
do. And we're known for this in the market. And on LinkedIn, we are ranked number one across Australia for what we do.
Dude, I love that. Good for you. That's awesome. Drop your URL. What's your web address? Let's give you a little plug here for anybody watching.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we're named Magna NDIS Consultants. And I'll drop in a link and our webpage in the chat.
That's great. And if you're watching this on live stream, you can come join us live. Go to dailysigh.ai. Bash, how was that for an answer, dude? Do you feel like I danced around it or was that helpful
Yeah,
to you?
no, definitely, man, definitely. It's like you said something that was echoing in the back of my head, which is Bash. Sometimes you just have to resist and stuff like that. I do have my partner who wants to just say also something quickly.
Yeah, hi, Kasim. Love your work. It's Loma here.
Hi,
I've
Loma.
been listening in. Hi. So you mentioned something about AI not being able to speak to people with disabilities. So the funny thing is, we actually do have it speak to people with disabilities for our clients, and it does a better job than them. So
It's because
because we taught it the empathy and
yes,
the tone and all of that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that when we run ads, we actually get leads that are disability, like persons with disabilities and not businesses sometimes. So we've actually trained our AI to identify if they are a person with a disability and then give a different line of questioning. But can anyone else do that? No. That's something
Mm,
that we can do because we understand that deeply. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that AI is actually considered an AAC, which is an augmented and like assisted communication. And for a lot of the people in the autism and neurodivergence community, it's actually been a game changer. So AI actually thinks very much like an autistic person, if you didn't know that. So
yeah,
that's
that's
really
what I wanted to add.
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's I love that you shared that information with me. That's actually close to my heart. I've been diagnosed as autistic as an adult. This happened when I was in my late 30s. I don't know if that I accept the diagnosis, to be honest with you, but a lot of the hallmarks of autism I definitely share. And then there are some people that I love dearly and deeply that are autistic. And the interesting thing about that is they use AI for therapeutic purposes, to the point that you're making. They actually have a better and easier time talking to AI than they do talking
Yes.
to a
Yes.
therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because when we try to teach our clients this, and they're just not getting it, which is what we're doing now. Like, we're doing the whole hand holding and all that sort of stuff, and we are charging a premium. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think that needs an elevation. I guess this is where the desperation's coming from. And it's like trying to tell the market, guys, there's a lovely opportunity here. I just wish people embrace it. I guess that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think the way that you articulated that is beautiful too. Uh, to the point that your partner made, as far as AI being able to talk to people, I understand what you're saying from a technical perspective. It sounds like AI technically can absolutely have these conversations at a deep level. My only nuanced opinion was, until the people feel as though that conversation is as effective, regardless of what's technically true, how they feel about it is what's important. So just keep a finger to that pulse. Like, you want people to
Yeah.
feel like they're being cared for, listened to, adhered to, etc.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
great question, Bash. I really appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, if you've got a question, feel free to raise your hand in Zoom. Everybody, I think, knows how to do that. You just go to the little react button at the bottom and you can raise your hand. If you're watching the live stream, you can join us by going to dailysigh.ai. And we got Dylan back. Dylan, you're back.
I uninstalled and reinstalled Zoom.
Oh, sorry, dude. Zoom's funky that way.
You were right in the middle of saying something to me, and I
Yeah,
froze.
well, you'd answered my question and you didn't answer it poorly, but I just wanted to poke at you a little bit just to see if we could have a deeper conversation. I'd ask, what would you accomplish? And you'd said I would have AI, I think, automate something with 3D printing.
Yeah,
And what I wanted to ask is forget about AI for a moment. Like, what would you, if I could just automatically do something for Dylan, AI aside, if a genie gave you 3 wishes, or God gave you superpowers, what's an end result that you would accomplish? Like, what's something you want in your hands or in your life right now today? I'll give you a bad example, which maybe is a good example. I want a homestead. I want in excess of 100 acres of fertile farmland that's glyphosate free, that's away from everything, that's well cultivated and safe for my family. Like nothing to do with AI. That's just something I want. And then what I'm going to ask is, once we figure out what your end result is, use that as a launching point for how we use AI.
that is a quite the profound question. Uh, uh, um, let's say just it's hard to be specific about that. That's very difficult. Can we talk about how you would use AI to accomplish your end
Yeah.
result?
So I think first thing I would say is find something that you'd be really, really passionate about. Find something that keeps you up at night or wakes you up early in the morning. And then start looking at the trail of tasks and projects that would lead to the accomplishment of that, and then use AI for that purpose. Here's why I'm saying that. And I think this isn't just true for AI. I think this is true for learning all things. I'll use an example that helps me that I think might polarize my audience. Um, I'm a gun nut. I've got a lot of guns. I could arm Panama. Uh, if you want to learn how to shoot, the worst way to learn to shoot is to go to a gun range, because it's an entirely generic environment and situation. All you're doing is sitting there punching paper. If you're really looking to utilize guns the way that they're meant to be utilized, it's context specific. So the best way to learn to shoot is, and there's a bunch of places that'll do this for you, but they'll show you how to breach. This is how we break into a building. They'll show you how to defend a building. They'll show, you know what I mean? Like skeet shooting, like hunting, context specific. So I think what you need to do is give yourself a really powerful context, and then figure out, how does this tool help me get from point A to point B in this context? Because just saying, like, I'm going to learn how to code. Well, code what and why? There's nothing on the other end of that that even lets you know I've accomplished this. There's also nothing that lets you know where the guardrails are. Because when you go open up AI and you ask it to do something, it does it. And you think to yourself, like, oh, wow, that was great. Was it though? because like, you know, if you say to yourself, I don't know what, I want to create a curriculum that helps teach my children how to play the piano. You might have ChatGPT produce the beginnings of a curriculum, but when you put it in front of a kid, you realize like, oh, this actually isn't really accessible to my child. And now there's the friction of a real goal on the other end of the endeavor that forces the learning to be tangible and tactile. So I wouldn't set out to learn AI. I would set out to accomplish something and then use AI for that something. The other thing that's I think really interesting about those learning lessons is I learned this from Jeff Hoffman. He was the co-founder of Priceline, literal billionaire, really brilliant guy. He spoke on stage once at an event I was at, and he talked about info sponging. And he said all of his greatest learning lessons came from outside of the industry in our corridor he was currently occupying. So a good example he offered is one of his major exits was a business he started, and he found out about that business because he was at the airport at one of those like you've been to them, those little stop shops that have like magazines and books and candy and garbage. And he picked up a book made specifically for Latin women. It was like Latino Weekly or something. And the lady didn't even want to sell it to him. She was like, "You realize this what this is?" And he goes, "But he's just kind of eccentric that way." And so he's reading this book meant for Latin women, and he's like a 50-year-old white male. So not his demographic information, whatever. But after reading that, the book or the magazine, I forget what it was, he ended up having the idea for his next 8-figure exit. That's going to happen to you. You're going to learn to use AI, trying to figure out 3D printing or teaching your kids piano or whatever. But then those lessons are going to carry over to, you know, oh gosh, I've been pulled into, you know, legislation, or I'm going in for a job interview, or I'm trying to build this thing with my buddies. And so I don't think there's any amount of learning that goes wasted as long as it's goal oriented. I wouldn't set out to learn the tool. I'd set out to accomplish a goal utilizing the tool. And I think that that's what really weaponizes people when it comes to AI. How was that, dude? Was that helpful? Would you get on board with that, or would you fight me on any of that?
I wouldn't fight you. I was actually not asking for myself. I was asking so that I could help somebody else. So I'm working with a developer, and last week I told him, you know, we're both using Cursor, and I know how powerful this is,
Yeah.
and I don't think you are producing at the level that you could be. And he said he's only using the autocomplete. And I told him, let me show you how I did it. And I showed him my like conversation with the agent where I said, here's 3 files, refactor them. You know, like there's a common class here that can be pulled out. And last week, it was like every day was a week's worth of progress. It was night and day.
I love
So
that,
I was
dude. So
talking
good
to
for
him on
you.
Monday, and we're planning out the week. And part of it, he wants to rewrite it from JavaScript to TypeScript. And he said he thinks it would take 2 or 3 days. And I said, man, I think you could rewrite this in JavaScript into Cursor much faster than that. And he said, oh, like I didn't even think of that. I'm still getting used to thinking in terms of AI this way instead of like I'm writing it and it's helping me, just tell it to write the whole thing. And I told him there's still another level that we haven't gotten to yet with like Claude Code and Codex, where you're spinning up multiple agents to work on different things at one time.
Mm.
And so that is the type of thinking I was asking about, because I didn't consider myself to be uh, good at that, but apparently I'm better than at least one person. And I thought you think about it very well, particularly your example of the plumbers wearing the Meta Ray-Bans,
Oh, dude. Isn't
and
that crazy?
that way, like, you know, you don't have to pay the master electrician. You just have a bunch of apprentices and AI doing the diagnosis.
Yeah, well,
Um,
let me catch the viewer up real quick. If you're watching the live stream, what Dylan's referring to, this was shared with me by somebody. I didn't know this, but a private equity backed organization bought up a bunch of small plumbers. They took the journeyman carpenter equivalent of a plumber. I don't know what that is, but like the triple PhD plumber, who's an expensive resource. And instead of sending him out in the field, they slapped or they put him or her in an air-conditioned office behind a bunch of screens. And then they slapped the Ray-Ban glasses on a bunch of junior plumbers. And the journeyman plumber, their real job was just to diagnose the problem. After that, forgive me for saying it this way, but any idiot with a wrench could fix it. And so they could do 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 jobs, and you took your most expensive resource and you quote unquote scaled them, as much as I hate the word scale. And it was just such a brilliant use of the technology that's available right now today. So for those of you watching, I just wanted you to know the example that Dylan was referring to. Dylan, forgive me for interrupting you.
No, not at all. And then they could use augmented reality to just display the instructions on how to fix it, and then an extra idiot can do it. But so
That's funny, dude. I didn't even think about that. That's brilliant.
you got that idea through exposure.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is there not really a great way to practice this? It's just all of our collective imaginations, and you say that, and it sparks that idea I just gave you, and then perhaps that gives you an idea about something else. Um, because this is just such a new
Dude, that's
thing
why
that
I'm hosting this call. What you just said is the reason the Zoom call exists, because I sit alone by myself in my room. This is the room. And, forgive me for saying it. I think I've been medium successful at life, and right now I'm medium successful at the AI game. I own, I think, the largest incubator for vibe coding that exists with my buddies Nuno and Kyla and Yvonne. I own AEO with Smart Marketer. I'm posturing right now. I need to stop. But all to say, like, I've actually made some headway, and I still feel like the dumbest guy in the room. I feel so left behind. I feel so overwhelmed at the end of every day. I feel overwhelmed, not in a bad way, though. I feel overwhelmed by the opportunity. And I think the only way, or not the only way, I think one of the best ways for us to really put a finger to the pulse of what's actually happening is what you just said. Get into a room with a bunch of other people playing with this shit and share with each other what's looking. For instance, I had no idea any of that stuff about Cursor. I'm not a developer. I'm an idiot when it comes to any of that stuff. But the fact that you said that, I've got my little sticky pad and my pen, and I'm sitting here writing this down, and I'm like, I'm going to go to school on what Dylan just said. So I think that us sharing that wisdom with each other back and forth, that's going to be a really significant unlock.
today with a non-developer, I was exploring using Cursor to write a blog post with her because she normally uses just the chat interface,
Yeah.
and then she hasn't cracked the code of um getting it to write at like a fifth grade level. And so then she puts it into Hemingway, and then you have to tinker with it from there because also Hemingway doesn't do much for you, and it's just a tool so you can game the system. If you just like put a period every 3 words, you get down to first
Yeah.
grade, but it doesn't make sense. Uh, so I did the plan mode and had it, and it included a step that was, first it writes it and then it goes back and edits it to a fifth grade level. And it included the, no M dashes and vary your set, like the various artifacts of AI writing. And I actually didn't read the result yet. It was taking longer than I expected while I was on the screen share with her. But it was I'm seeing more business people, like people that don't code at all, and they're not even using it to code. The Cursor, Anti-Gravity, which is Google's version of Cursor,
Yeah.
and Claude Code as well, which I'm very interested to try Claude Code. I have not yet.
Dude, we're running a Claude Code workshop right now. I think it started today. Dylan, for being here live, dude, I'll give you free access. Um, Private message me your email. If you want access, I'll gift that to you. If you're watching, you have to pay because y'all didn't show up live. If you're here live, I'll give it to you. That's what happens when you show up live. If you want to join us live, go to dailysigh.ai. And it's Nuno. I don't know if you know Nuno Tavares. He's one of the smartest guys in the whole wide world. It's Nuno and Kyla. Um, and he said a lot of what you just said. He's like, everybody thinks that it's meant specifically for development. It's not. It's like a thought partner. And I'm seeing this with Lovable. I have an employee who works for me. His name's Vicente. I love him to death. And he uses Lovable for shit, dude. I never even would have like it's more like an interface for harder tools and utilities and stuff. So I think that's such a beautiful point that you just made about like we're almost putting a lid on what things can and can't do. I've played with Cursor at arm's length. I'm looking at it right now on my screen, but I'm going to go to school on it now that you just sung its praises. That's really helpful, man. Thank you. Grant just joined. What up, Grant? Thanks for being here, brother.
Hey guys.
How are you, man?
Good. Yeah, really good. This is
Good,
an
good.
awesome conversation.
Yeah, so far so good, right? This is the first time we've actually like fired it up. I feel really good about it. Dylan had some great questions. I see Chris Mateo's here, Adam, and Grant. You asked a question in chat, and then Kai, I'll get to your question. Grant said, "Have you played around with Zeit?" I don't know what Zeit is. I haven't heard of it.
It's basically Claude code in a different interface. Uh, it's from guys who built this tool Fill Out, basically like a form generator. But Zeit is basically Claude code with a ton of native integrations built into it.
Oh, cool.
So, like as an example, I do a lot of like consulting for a tool called JobTread, and I built out like a diagnostic of how people are using JobTread, just using this Zeit tool that basically pushes all of their info into a database and then can do a bunch of other integrations in Slack and whatnot. Um, just one of those like you nailed it. It's like a tool that it's a Swiss Army knife with like infinite tools in it.
Yeah, the value proposition is really interesting. I'm on the website. It says the AI builder that means business. That's funny, but build apps, workflows, and databases for your entire team. And database architecture, I feel like, has kind of been missing from AI implement. Like, I'm a huge Airtable guy. The last four businesses I've owned have all been run from Airtable. I think it's a beautiful application. I think it's
Oh
really
yeah.
elegant. And for people that can't, like, I can't roll up a SQL database. I couldn't spell SQL if I wanted to. So, like, Airtable is really nice because it makes it dummy proof, but their AI integration sucks. So it looks like, does Zeit let you build out like robust database
Yeah.
architecture, like the
E-
relational database?
exactly. That's like I also big fanboy Airtable. I built out a full like personal CRM in Airtable with
Dude,
that.
yeah, bro. I had a habit tracking app on Airtable. Like how
Yeah.
it's just the fact that they make it so easy. And what I like about Airtable is the ability to action any data is so valuable. You know, like all of AI, if you really think about it, whoever has the data is the one that wins the AI game. It's why I'm so long on Google. So before we can really get deep, deep, deep into the world of AI, we have to first make sure that we have the repository of information. And having something that would vibe code databases, I don't know if there's something else out there like that, but this looks really cool and really promising. I appreciate you sharing this with us.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, it's been I mean, like a big part of my strategy too is I create like lead magnets and you know like assets every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this thing just crushes. Like I'll use it. There's a thing called a PRD, which Dylan, I'm sure you know, like a product requirements document, which is basically if you're working with a developer, it's what you would give them when they first started. And I'll just have Claude create a PRD of like what my ideas and what I want to create, and then throw that over into this Zeit tool. And I can just knock out like really good applications and just ideas. And I've challenged myself and I have it down to like 25 minutes now.
Dude, that's so cool. I'm signing up for the demo now. I should do this later.
But we live in a really amazing time. It is
Oh,
super
bro,
fun to be
it's
alive.
yeah, it's exciting and horrifying all at the same time. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
there's elements. I mean, we're looking at the largest labor collapse in human history. And the people saying otherwise are they're either truly not paying attention or they have a vested interest in an alternative narrative. You know what I mean? Like just Waymo, Uber and Lyft are the second largest employers in the United States, second only to the US government. As soon as driving goes, there goes the most important job, the most important entry level job that exists for the Western male. And I don't think that's catastrophic. I don't think it's zombie apocalypse, but it has to be talked about. You
Yeah.
know, we have to talk about the impact to the economy when UBI becomes the ubiquitous truth, which is 100% what's going to happen. So I think those conversations are so, so important. Again, that's why we're hosting these calls. Kai, you've got your hand up, brother?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah. Just had a question regarding to connect your personal passion to the business that you're doing. Just some context. I'm from China and came to Australia a long time ago. So I'm here. My main business is SEO agency for e-commerce business.
Nice.
So most of my client is Chinese client because they're doing cross-border e-commerce. That's what I'm doing right now. But right now, I'm in the sort of like a dilemma to thinking where I'm going because everybody talk about AEO. So one pivot, I'm thinking just uh, providing more AEO service on top of my SEO service to my e-commerce client.
Hmm.
On the other hand, I was very passionate about AI coding stuff because I was joining the Micro AI membership. So from there, I learned a little bit Claude coding. So just like last 1 week, I made a three app for myself. Like for example, one of the app is like a voice recording transcription because none of the app, even on the pay market, doesn't satisfy my needs. So I just doing that without touching my current the work. Um, yeah, so like you said, it's quite exciting and confusing. You don't know where you're going. So I
Mm.
think you got a lot of experience with AEO as Google Ads, so it's more toward to e-commerce client area. So just like some of your opinion, like which direction, it's hard to choose. So many direction, so many opportunity.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you started the question with connecting your passion to your business. How
Mhm.
important is it? Are you looking for just the greatest opportunity, or do you want to love what you're doing, or is it some combination of both?
I like a combination, not like pursuing money for money's sake. I want to doing thing I really enjoy,
Yeah.
and I work with my team and I have a great impact. And also, byproduct is making a lot of money. I'm
Okay.
not like okay, no, yeah,
No, that's really helpful. Here, the reason I'm asking is because I think AEO is the biggest opportunity in the economic world from a marketing perspective by a billion miles. And I'm putting my money
mm,
where my mouth is. I'm building an AEO agency. So
yeah,
I don't know if you know that I've partnered with Molly Pittman and Ezra Firestone at Smart Marketer, and we've already taken on our guinea pig clients. We're supposed to call them test pilots. I'm not supposed to use guinea pig anymore. Sorry.
yeah,
AEO is, and interestingly, the weird irony of AEO is it'll be one of those endeavors that I think will continue to require human intervention because anything that AI can do sans a human will be available to everybody. So it'll be ubiquitously available, which means the only unlocks will come from differentiators outside of what is ubiquitously available, which is either going to be custom IP or human intervention. And so I think that if you're looking for an industry that's going to be around at least longer than some other industries, I think AEO is a huge, huge, huge opportunity. And forgive me for saying it this way, but there's very little accountability. It's near impossible to track. It'll take months, if not years, to really produce results, which are great businesses to be in if you can prove some level of demonstrable efficacy from the front end, because you get a bunch of people paying you that have to stick around and they don't know if anything's going to work for a long, long time. That doesn't mean you take advantage of them. It just means that you have a lot of staying power. So I believe a lot in AEO. I think it's going to be hard. I think
mm,
it's going to be expensive, but I think it's going to be wildly profitable for those of us that crack the code. I fully expect to crack the code. I bet you crack the code too. I'm happy to give to you with my AEO book if you want it. Just private message me your email. Um,
yeah. Thank you.
yeah, but if you don't mind, a second answer. I have this thesis. I just shot a video on this today too. I'm going to share it with you guys though, and I'd love to know y'all's what you think. Um, there's a biological there's a label in biology for two categories of reproduction. And this is so interesting to me. I was talking to AI again, which is what I do a lot of the time, just talk to it about stuff, trying to figure out what's going on with the world. And so I thought, like, okay, AI is an extinction event from an economic perspective. I don't think people are going to die. I think everybody's going to be fed. I actually think it's the best thing that ever happens to humanity. But from an economic perspective, it's an extinction event. It's a meteor that hits the economic earth and wipes out the dinosaurs. So then I started talking about AI about like, well, talk to me about different organisms. What organisms survived extinction events and which ones didn't? There are 5 extinction events in the history of the known world, right? There's probably 5 billion, but there's 5 that we know of. And this is crazy, dude. All of the organisms that survive extinction events have one thing in common. To flip that, all of the organisms that got wiped out have one thing in common. The organisms that get wiped out are what are called K-selected species. The organisms that survive are what are called R-selected species. K-selected species are species that um, they're specialists. They niche down. They have very few offspring. It takes a long time for those offspring to come into adulthood. They invest very heavily in their environment. Humans, oak trees, whales, case-selected species, right? So in a stable environment, case-selected species thrive. R selected species, R stands for reproduction, are organisms that their plan is basically to have a lot of offspring that take fewer resources. So because in an unpredictable environment, most of them are going to die, but there's enough that survive that they thrive. In a predictable environment, K-selected species wins. In an unpredictable environment, R-selected species wins. Here's where the analogy crosses over. We've been given this amazing advice. It's such good advice, and it was so true for the last 1,000 years on how to build a business. We're in a K-selected economy, niche down, focus, build a moat, choose your one thing, go for deep specialization. Those are all K-selected economic endeavors. So all this business knowledge that we've been given is absolutely applicable, but it's applicable looking backwards. We're no longer in a K-selected economy. We're now in an R-selected economy, which means focus, niching down, choosing one thing effectively guarantees your obsolescence. What I think people should be doing is having multiple lines of business, multiple businesses, multiple customer repositories and pools, like trying lots of different things, putting tendrils out there. You don't want one battleship on the water when a tsunami's coming, right? You want hundreds of little dinghies, because the battleship 100% is getting taken out, but 99 out of 100 of the dinghies will sink, but you'll still have one dinghy, and then you get to be Forrest Gump, and you're the one left over with Bubblegum Shrimp. So when you're asking which one of these should I pursue, I'm like, dude, you've got trillion-dollar supercomputers at your beck and call. Sounds like you have a team of people, which is even more important. I wouldn't choose one. I'd go after a handful. I think everybody should have a handful of endeavors, because it's hard to see what gets wiped out by AI. Like if 3 years ago, remember, we were all predicting what was going to stay and what was going to go. It was crazy to me that media buying got taken out first. I thought graphic design or content creation would be taken out first. And yet here I have friends in graphic design and content creation who still have a job, and all my media buyer buddies are running for the hills. So I think you should have, dude, I would go for AEO, and I'd go for, the fact that you know how to vibe code. You mentioned you're building tools for yourself. I think vibe coding as a service, I don't know why that hasn't popped up yet, but everybody wants it. Everybody needs it. I think it's an amazing service offering. So I wouldn't overwhelm yourself, and make sure you have the team that can execute on all this. But I'd say yes to a handful of things, and not pigeonhole yourself, because you never know what's going to get boobopped and what's actually going to take off. How was that for an answer, Kai? Did I do okay? Anything you want to fight me on? I'd love if two people agree on everything, one of them is unnecessary. So I'd love, feel free to disagree, please.
Yeah, that's great advice. Because I'm like, because I was watching your YouTube video talk about you have a lot of interest building a business with different people. Forgive me if I say that, because I'm, a small company. I don't have that much amount of the resource. I can partner with, different people opening multiple companies, funding them. So I guess probably for me, like what I can do is try to building one personal brand channel to share what I learn, what I talk, and then building audience from there on top of what we already doing. Then
Dude,
see
yes.
where
What you just
opportunities pop
nailed it,
up.
Kai. The way to continue to be relevant is to have a personal brand, is to have authority. I think for the next two generations, people are still going to want to see from people and hear from people and talk to people. It's why you all are on this call. Humans right now still want to talk to humans. That might not always be true. We could end up in Westworld. Spoiler alert. And for right now, I think building a personal brand is critical. And we are so far from brand saturation. People keep thinking and saying like, oh gosh, there's so many authorities out there. No, there's not. If we all sat here right now and tried in earnest to come up with 100, we couldn't do it. There's going to be 5 authorities in every micro niche, in every geography. And there's the fun proverb, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So I think you building a personal brand makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really, really intelligent endeavor. I'll also say, and I hope this is okay, you can tell me if this feels offensive, the fact that you're from China, you have those resources and those connections available to you. You're in Australia, which means you're in an arbitrage opportunity, right? Because the economic environment in Australia is, let's say, maybe a little healthier than it is in China, at least for the individual laborer. The Chinese have a massive labor pool that are, we'll say, there's enough of them that are technically inclined. I would encourage you to pursue the idea that if you got 1 or 2 or 3, I don't know what to call them. I call them motivated generalists, but people that you empower to pursue goals This is what I do. It's how I build businesses. I have a book. I'll gift it to you. I wrote the book on how to hire top talent. You can go to thehirebook.com. You can have it for free, including all the resources. It's not about hiring anybody. It's about hiring the best. You put 10,000 people in the top of the funnel, and then one person comes out, but you take that person and you let them go, and then they build businesses on your behalf. My AEO business was built by an EA. My podcasting business was built by an EA. My talent agency actually was built by my business partner, but he was my former EA. So I think the fact that you have access to those resources and you're already in an arbitrage environment, that could really be worth doing. Bring somebody on, I call them a business builder, and just cut them loose on opportunities that you see. Have them do some of the vibe coding, have them do some of the research, have them do some of the development, assuming that you're in a position to do that. I realize that it's not free, but it would be a lot less expensive for you and a lot more accessible to you because you speak the language, you know the culture, you know where to find people, than it might be for somebody else. How does that land?
Yeah, that's great. Because actually, I'm sort of doing that right now for my SEO business. Because I had a team in Philippines, so I go through a lot of interview process, find the best possible, then running part of my business. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. If I can try to find talent in China as well, because definitely in Philippines they're more like yes boss, they work for you.
Yeah.
But if you find a really entrepreneurial spirit, people want to make more money. Maybe China is the place to find a talent. And I can speak their language as
Yeah.
well.
I've had a similar
Yeah.
experience in the Philippines. I found them to be very great, very creative people as soon as you coax them out of their shell. But culturally, they've been so punished for being enterprising that they're actually really hesitant to do it.
Yeah, because a lot of things they need approval. So it's great
Yeah.
for entrepreneur, but not the entrepreneur type.
Yeah. I think that's a good distinction, dude.
Yeah.
Those are great questions, Kai. I
Just,
really appreciate you, man.
yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
just one more quick question regarding
Yeah.
to because the reason I get into vibe code is actually I was some of my client asked me if you can help me do Google app for my e-commerce. That's how I know you. I find out your previous agency, one of the top Google Ad agency, and then but after I joined Microrose membership, I took some online course learning, and I tried with clients Google Ad. I find it sucks. It's like very time consuming,
Oh,
even
dude,
with
Google,
help with.
we're in a traffic bubble. Google Ads hasn't worked for the last 24 months for the majority of industries. There's a handful that still really function, but we're a bubble from an economic perspective is defined when an asset is trading above its replacement value. The traffic that you're paying
Okay.
for in Google is costing in excess of what most businesses, not just profit, but especially with e-commerce, Google traffic costs you more than the cost of goods, the cost of fulfillment, the net profit, the upsell, the OTO, sometimes combined, to where businesses have to bank on LTV before they can make it work. Dude, I'm again, at the risk of sounding arrogant, I built the #1 ranked Google Ads agency in the world. I don't run Google traffic myself right now. I don't believe in it. I'm waiting for the bubble to pop.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's good.
I go to where the traffic arbitrage is, and that is not Google right now.
Yeah, it's 100% valid for me now, so I never touch Google Ad. I just hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too.
Oh,
That's so funny.
Thanks so much.
I'm dropping
Thank
for every Bash said he wants to join the Claude code. So I'm going to give you guys free access to our Claude code. This is, if you're watching this live, you can come join us in Zoom at dailysigh.ai. But I'm only giving it to the people that actually showed up inside of Zoom. So that's the link. That's the coupon code. Please, please, please don't share it. This is just to give to y'all. And now I'm going to tee up Chris Mateo. Chris, what's up, buddy? Thanks for being here, man.
What's up, brother? How's it going, man?
Living the dream, dude.
God bless. I hope you're feeling better with your health stuff, bro. I've been praying for you,
Still a
my
journey,
guy.
man. If you see me itching, I have this really horrible histamine response to this drug I'm taking. And so like I get on calls like a meth addict, just sitting there like scratching away. So I'm trying not to do that while we're doing this.
Nah, you're looking great. You're looking healthy. I like it. I like to see it, bro.
I appreciate
So,
that.
so I don't know if I'm sorry I jumped on a little late because I was on another call and I finished late, but I wanted to jump on here and see if anybody was talking about open claw, if you guys have been setting those things
We haven't
up.
touched it on it yet. No, I'd love to open that can of whoop ass though, because that's open claw terrifies me. The fact that he got $2 billion for that thing that he made in a weekend blows my mind. But have you played with it?
You heard they bought Meta bought Molt Book too.
Wait, no. I thought OpenAI bought OpenClaw for 2 billion. Meta bought what?
Moltbook, which is like the social network for the open claws.
Oh yeah, he didn't own that, so Moltbook was somebody else.
Moltbook was somebody else, exactly. And that guy
Wow.
sold. So both of these guys built these things, vibe coded them in a weekend, and got these $1 billion exits, basically.
Yeah, Sam Altman said that would happen. The one employee $1 billion company. I did not know that Moltbook sold. Do you know what it sold for?
I'm not sure, but it just came out like yesterday. Like it just happened.
Wow. I'm actually mad that I missed that news story. That's the whole point of the Daily Sigh. I'm supposed to be reporting this shit. Thanks for telling me that.
Well, I'm
Hold
here
on,
to
I gotta
help,
write this
bro.
down. Moltbook sold to Facebook. That's so fun. I hate Mark Zuckerberg. I think he's a petulant child thief. I don't know why we celebrate him as an entrepreneur. And he's not a dummy, like he's an intelligent person. So yeah, that's cool. Thanks for putting me on game there. What you were gonna bring up OpenClaw though. Have you deployed it? Are you playing with it?
Yeah. So I got it deployed right now. I've been testing it. I'm having a really hard time because I got it on a VPS on a virtual computer setup, and
Yeah.
the interface is a lot like more technical than like if you just did it directly on your own local hardware. So I've hired a couple of developers to help me, and I'm just tweaking it. But I'm trying to like really master like training the agents, the sub skills, doing all the memory optimization, all that type of stuff. But my real goal is like I've been trying to set this up as like my version of Jarvis. I've been working on this project for like 7 years already, where I got like all of my marketing frameworks, all of my IP of all the stuff I've done over the last 15 years, and I've created all the automations in Go High Level, all the back end workflows and N8N and Make, and I'm kind of trying to put it all together and have the front end be that open claw chat interface. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've had the same experience you have in terms of it being inaccessible. Do you know Austin Armstrong?
I've heard of him. Yes.
He's worth following on Facebook. He did a talk. He's on the faculty in my mastermind. He did a talk on it, and it was cool because I forgot which tool he used. I think it might have been Perplexity, but he had Perplexity set up his OpenClaw forum on his private server. Uh, I'd be curious because I know Dylan
He
codes.
computers actually install it.
Yeah, he had AI install it for him. It was crazy. You know what? No, what's ChatGPT's browser called? Is it Comet?
That's perplexities.
Oh,
Yes,
that was it.
Atlas, I think.
He had Comet, so he had Perplexity's browser install OpenClaw for him and do the whole thing start to finish. But yeah, I was gonna ask Dylan and Grant because I think y'all are at least deeper in coding than I am. I'd be curious if you have any tips for Chris on the deployment of OpenClaw or any pro tips that you've seen so far.
Honestly, with just the co-work, like I set that up on
Bro, isn't
on
that
my
shit crazy?
server. Dude, it
Oh,
is insane. Like combining that with skills,
mm,
it knows
everything.
it's acting as like six people
Yeah, yeah. Cowork
without
is
any
what
of
terrifies me the
the
most.
security risk.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
But you
turnoff
set that up
with
on a VPS.
No, dude, Cowork just lives on your desktop. So
yeah.
Cowork is it's Claude's semi pseudo agentic tool. I just had it build a website for me. We're re-engineering what websites are going to look like. We're building AI first websites as part of this AEO initiative. And so we have this thesis behind what a website should look like. So I took what's that thing you said, Grant? The document you give to a developer is called what?
Oh, PRD.
So I created my own PRD, but for websites. I didn't know that's what it was called. I gave it to Claude Cowork. I gave it access to my WordPress.com account, and dude, it built the shit, start to finish, top to bottom. Like every now and again, I'd come back and it would have asked me for permission to something, but I just kept clicking go, and it did an extraordinary job. So I haven't used OpenClaw. I can't speak to it with any level of intelligence. I'm actually afraid of it, to be honest with you. The known vulnerabilities scare me. I've got this infographic one of my front row dad buddies sent me that it was basically an explanation of all the reasons not to use OpenClaw. But I have been using Cowork, and that thing is blowing my mind. How are you using it, Grant?
Oh, I had to clean up my server.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Dude, it'll rename photos. I mean, I've got all these pictures of my kids that I need organized and unzipped and stuff. Like, there's all these things that you can do that you promise yourself you're going to get around to. And suddenly life's like, actually, you can do this now.
Yeah. And Claude now, like, I was, I mean, I didn't test out Claw or OpenClaw or anything just because of the security risks. But with, I think over the weekend, Claude released like their mobile interface that you can now just literally
Yeah, I saw that. That was the big thing that people are talking about right now, that Claude co-work with the remote,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
basically doing all the pieces of OpenClaw, but in a more secured structure.
Wait, I didn't know this either. What is Claude's mobile interface? I
So
mean, I
so
have
they
the mobile app.
no, but they made it so now you can start a project on your desktop with the co-work app and stuff, and
Yeah.
basically leave the Claude code.
Oh, and control it from
Yeah,
remotely.
and it's,
Like,
yes, you start talking to it through the chat on the back end when you're like mobile, and it'll keep doing stuff on the computer.
No shit.
it's addicting though. You got to be careful with it.
Oh, dude, I'm already in trouble.
No,
I'm already in
so I've been breaking it down, Cosmo. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, but I broke it down in like, because I'm trying to master all these different layers, and I'm like, as you guys know, we're like living through the singularity right now with all these different
Dude.
things happening every single day. So it's like difficult to know which one's the top. It reminds me a lot of like when funnels was hot, and then like you had 15 different funnel builders, then you had
Yeah.
15 different automation backends, and like you're like trying to keep up until finally we got to go high level type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's happening right now.
That's fine.
And
I was texting Sean Clark right before this call. I'm gonna tell him that his company came up again. God bless that man.
so like I'm breaking it down where like you got three layers: the strategic layer, which is like where you use your Chat GPT or Opus or all that type of stuff. That's like the thinking and quality control and all that type of layer. That's like leadership. Then you got the second layer, which is like the engineers slash workers. That's like Codex. That's like Claude Code, Cursor, all of those type of platforms. And then you have like the execution layer, which is like the admin level, which is more like Perplexity Computer,
Yeah.
these co-work for Claude and Atlas for ChatGPT. But the thing is, like, the thing I love about OpenClaw is that I get to, freestyle and put them all together however I want and allow them to like pull, like, hey, I want you to use Codex for these type of tech tools, but then I want you to use Cursor code for this. You know what I'm saying? This type of tech. So like it gives me a lot more flexibility and customization. But it's like now I'm trying to like keep up with like the base layer of setting up OpenClaw, which is difficult. And then as these new tools keep dropping, they're like also kind of replacing a whole piece of the workflow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a difficult piece there.
Dude, I returned to what I was telling Dylan earlier. And this just could be, I mean, maybe I'm just old, dude. I don't believe in learning tools for their own sake anymore. So I'm running into the same problem you're running into. Conflicting tech stack, antiquated tech stack, old shit, new shit, things moving along. When do we replace it? When do we not? And it's really overwhelming if you're just looking at your tech stack and you're like, oh gosh, there's something better for that. That can be improved. That can be faster. There's something better for that, etc. Instead, what I've been doing, and I think this is the right way to do it until somebody challenges me, which is I'd love that. I welcome the opportunity to learn. What I've been doing is flipping the tech stack and just looking at it as an input output machine. And is what I'm putting in worth what I'm getting out? And for as long as that's true, I at least don't want to mess with it. But it gives me now the arithmetic. So my input output, I put in just for units of measure, I put in 1 unit of value and I get out 5 units of value. Okay, that's a 1-to-5 ratio. That's a pretty good golden ratio. And now I can say, well, you know what? I could replace like this N8N integration needs to be improved or whatever, but it'll cost me 15 units of value to do that. And if I'm getting 5 units of value a month, that's 3 months worth. You know what I mean? So it allows me the opportunity to begin to contextualize the value that I'll receive in direct proportion to the work done. So I'm trying not to obsess over the tools, and I'm trying to, from a first principles perspective, always look at the goal. Like, what is the goal? What is the output? What's on the horizon? That's what I told, Dylan asked a question and I answered it obnoxiously, but it's like, well, if I want to learn AI, I wouldn't worry about it AI. I'd worry about what's something I'd be really passionate about and then put AI in between me and that passion. That's the way to learn AI. I think the same thing is true when it comes to like all these tools, all this tech, all this overwhelm. I have so many buddies that are deep, deep, deep into voice AI because I've got a lot of friends, like my buddy Suneet Agarwal. He's the #1 selling realtor in the state of California. Fifth largest economy in the world. Like, dude moves units. You know what I mean? He's the president of a publicly traded company. And a lot of his business rests on voice. So of course he's really, really deep into voice. Voice has nothing to do with anything that I do right now. So at some point I feel like, oh God, I'm getting left behind. I don't know anything about voice AI. But on the other hand, there's no end goal for me. There's no end result. So I think the way to really, for all of us to stay sharp isn't to necessarily keep trying to stay up to the tools because it's an impossible thing to do. Every day we wake up, we're behind. Instead of trying to keep up with the tools, I want to be the first out to the goal. And so far, I've actually been able to accomplish that in a couple categories. How did that land, dude? Does that feel, I don't, am I answering your question or even touching on it?
No, I'm just kicking it with you, bro, because I love your way you think. So that's exactly what I need help with. Like, can you contextualize that a little bit more for me? Like, what is an example of a unit in versus a unit out? Like, because
Oh, dude,
that's
100%.
what I'm struggling with right now. Where like I feel like all of my units of inputs, I see the potential of 5-10x improvement in the
Yep.
output, but then it's like overwhelming to try to tackle 6 different departments at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
so it's, how do you go about prioritizing, I guess, what's more urgent versus less urgent? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you for help aiming my muzzle a little bit better. All inputs are time. People think money is just a trade. Money is a representation of time, and that's an economic truism that goes back to Adam Smith. Money and time are interchangeable. Money is just supposed to be an encapsulation of time. So all inputs are time. Now, for easier conversation, we can say time and money. That's fine. When you're looking at, and I'll give you a really specific example. I have a YouTube team that's 3 people big because I'm trying to go deep on YouTube because I want to be YouTube famous because I have the sad, pathetic personality that loves attention. And I also think that building a personal brand is the way to stay ahead of AI. When I look at my YouTube team, I know for a fact everything we do can be improved. All of our workflows are so far behind the script writing, the editing, the publishing, the promotion. All of it is just old and can be made better via AI. And that's overwhelming when I just think about that. Like, God, my entire YouTube department needs to be overhauled, rebuilt, started over, whatever. So now I'm overwhelmed. But if I look at it, I'm like, all right, I'm putting in this much time. My team's putting in this much time. So let's say, 2 units of my time, 10 units of their time. From an economic perspective, my time is worth more than their time. That's no comment on the value of the human. That's just a comment on the arbitrage opportunity. So, let's say that those 2 things are equal. So now there's 50 units of total sterilized time or generic time. And for those 50 units of total genericized time, I actually still feel like I'm getting at least 50 units worth of YouTube juice out of it, let's say, which for me is 2 long form and 10 short form a week. And so when I look at the improvement opportunities on my YouTube pipeline, they would have to be tax relevant enough in that scale. For the 50 units of time, am I going to get a substantial enough increase in the quality or quantity of my output to be worth whatever the cost is? So if we were looking at a mathematical equation, it would be X is the expense of improvement times Y, which is the expected longevity of the improvement. So how long is this thing going to last before it gets usurped, which is a lot of times the reason I don't make a change. Because somebody's like, oh, you got to go use Gemini instead of Claude. And I'm like, well, now. And then Claude's going to send its update and I'm going to go back to Claude. So X times Y is something like the cost times the longevity of the improvement equals the expense. And so I guess Y would need to be inversed, right? So it's like X times negative Y, or maybe the obsolescence. And that would have to be less than the loss I incur to implement. And so the cost would have to be less than, and the output would have to be greater than. And if those 2 things are true, then I take action on that. And I realize I just did a bunch of brainstorming with you guys live on the call. I'm so sorry. That took something of
You just took it mathematical. You lost me when you started saying the y-axis is less than the x-axis.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like it is really basic math. It's like, all right, what's the expected outcome in terms of, improvement, profitability, whatever? What's the cost of implementation? And do those pencil? Do they balance? And if they do, great. And if they don't, I'm not doing it. And I think that's the way that we need to look at everything.
So from your standpoint of you, like you doing multiple businesses, like I'm in the similar scenario where I got a couple different pots cooking. How do you prioritize for that specific business, a specific execution of an update, for example?
Oh, dude, you know what I've actually done, to be honest with you, is I don't trust myself enough to be the deciding factor in every one of those businesses. So every business, I believe, every business arm you have needs its own champion. Every business needs its own champion. So like Yvonne, my business partner, runs Pareto Talent. Emma Rainville runs Driven Mastermind. Nuno runs Architects, and Kayla runs VC Incubator, and Julian runs AEO, and Camilo runs the podcast. So if I had to think what you're asking me, I have a portfolio of 16 companies, at the risk of sounding like a douchebag. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that 16 times a day. What I do is I go and I make sure that the people that are doing it on my behalf feel properly empowered. And more important than that, I choose people that run. It's a push-pull problem, dude. Employees these days, I'm going to say something really, really caustic and callous. If people need to be told what to do, let's say this differently. If you as an employee, if you're listening to this live, come join us, by the way, at dailysigh.ai. But if you as an employee, whoever you are, have to be prompted, you are worthless to the economic endeavor as of today. If you need to be told what to do, if you are the prompted, if you're the one who receives the request, you are without value, not as a person. You're a beautiful soul and you're going to heaven and Jesus loves you and all that. But in the business world, you're worthless because AI can be prompted and do anything. If you are the promptor, which is 1 in 1,000 people, by the way, you are catalytic. You're part of the spark that gives the engine life, and you are invaluable. So what I'd say, Chris, is go find yourself promptors. Find yourself people who trigger, start, go, catalyze. Dylan asked at the beginning of the call, he's like, how do I get this developer to learn AI? And part of me wanted to be, go find a developer that wants to learn AI. The fact that we have to coax these people into it, I'm like, next, please. You know what I mean? Like, there's not enough time. And I know he might be a beautiful human and you love him and your friends and all that stuff. That's why I didn't say it. But I feel like people, interestingly, the weird counterintuitive truth about the environment that we're in is in an AI world, AI is not the unlock. AI is what everybody has. The unlock are the people behind the AI. That's the differentiator. So again, at the risk of pushing my book too hard, go to thehirebook.com. It's yours for free. I have the best system on hiring top talent in the world. And you're 7 steps away from the best hire you've ever made. They're going to cost you a fraction of what you think they're going to cost you if you go internationally. Maybe you're used to that. And take really extraordinary people and then put them behind endeavors. That's what I think the big unlock for me has been.
So my goal is to get to your level of 16 companies and all of that and have successful exits. But right now, I'm essentially the COO of these companies. So I have my U's that are there, but I'm the guy that's actually executing and operating. I'm the Emma of my business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like,
dude. In that case, I'd go get yourself one really good EA.
Okay.
One really good EA that you can trust to just execute on your behalf, because bet money and I've been there, dude. I did 80 hours a week for 20 years. I was grinding. I'm a welfare baby. I know what you're talking about in terms of like I had to take out the trash. And when you're there, 50% of your time is absolutely wasted. So at least here's what you can do. You can double your efficacy with one good EA, and you can get that good EA with my book. You don't have to hire through my talent agency. That person is available and accessible to you. That'll be the biggest unlock of your life. I swear to God. That's why I started the EA agency. Dylan, you got your hand up? That was a good talk, Chris. I appreciate those questions, bro. I hope you stick around.
I do. I want to push back on you a little bit on that.
I love that. Yes. Thank you. Please and thank you.
I think it's my view. I don't know if it's true. I think it's unnatural to come up with what you or while working, or for most people, they don't think of what they're going to do next. They wait for them to be told. But I
I agree.
think that it can be learned over time.
I agree with that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree and I agree. It's definitely not natural. Douglas Brackman wrote a book on it. It's called Driven. It's what we named our mastermind after. There's an epigenetic phenomena that is the entrepreneur. It's he calls it the difference between the hunter brain and the farmer brain. It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20 people are actually broken. There's something broken in your brain. Everybody on this call is probably like this. It's why you're on this call. 1 in 20 people experience the chemical cocktail. It's actually the same chemical cocktail that you experience when you fall in love. But the chemical cocktail that you experience upon most people experience upon the completion of a goal is, I think it's dopamine and serotonin up and norepinephrine down. I might have that wrong, but it's something like that. 19 out of 20 people experience that chemical cocktail when they accomplish a goal. I did it. I got to the finish line. Good line. Pat on the back. You, me, and everybody on this call, and more than likely everybody listening, experiences the chemical cocktail in pursuit of the goal. And interestingly, counterintuitively, when you accomplish the goal, you actually deflate and you get really depressed. You're like, what? And then you have to go pursue another goal. It's why entrepreneurs are what entrepreneurs are. They're broken. So they chase where most people, it's the hunter farmer. They hunt and they actually experience this chemical cocktail when they're on the hunt, not when they get the kill, oddly. That's the hunter farmer brain. So I agree with you. Number one, it's not natural. It's actually counter to all that is natural. And number two, it can be learned. This might be a moral failing. Imad Mustaq, which by the way, if you haven't read Imad's book, The Last Economy, it's the most important book I read in the 21st century, and it's free on his website. Imad
That
said we
book
have,
is phenomenal, man. I
bro,
love it.
yeah, it blows my mind and changed my life. It's the most important book I read in the 20th century, which is also applicable right now, is Anti-Fragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Read both of those. Imad Mustaq said we have 1,000 days until human work is of a net negative value. And he said that last year. You know what I mean? So it's not natural. I agree. It can be learned. I agree. Dude, I don't have time to teach people. I want bloodthirsty killers next to me, and I want people that are running as hard and fast as they possibly can. And if somebody needs to be pulled along, if I love them, if we're talking about my brother, my best friend, my girlfriend's dad, like I'll do that. But to me, that's a philanthropic endeavor. If I have employees, vendors, strategic partners, clients that need to be, put on game and sat down and taught what's going on, I don't have time. I in my mind, I'm like, I got 3 years to make all the money I'm ever going to make in my life. And then, I don't know what's going to happen. I actually still expect to be relevant, I hope. But this really does seem to be the time to make hay while sun is shining. So did that feel callous, and would you challenge that at all?
I don't think so. I was going to follow up with not everyone is in the position to teach.
Bro, yeah.
Highly recommend The Molecule of More. It's a book about dopamine. It divides the brain chemistry into dopamine and then the here and now, which is serotonin, cannabinoids, and I heard you say that on another podcast, and it made a lot of sense to me. The whole like you enjoy the pursuit, and then whenever you actually accomplish it, it's whatever comes next. But
that gets real dark real quick.
In my specific situation, it is the client's developer, and I am here to help them improve.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. That's fair. I just added The Molecule of More
put
to
those
my
in the
list.
chat.
Yeah, I'll drop that link in the chat. Is that you're asking, Chris?
Yeah, both of the VA thing, and then the other two books. You said the one about Driven, and then you said another one, Anti-Fragile, I think it was.
Yeah, Anti-Fragiles. Now, here's the thing. Nassim Nicholas Taleb is the most obnoxious human in the world to possibly read because he's so arrogant and so full of himself. But then you read him and you realize, you're like, oh, you deserve to be because you're brilliant. So it's not a good read. Like, you're not going to enjoy it, but it will change the way you think about life. And then there's my book, The Hire book. This is free. There's no upsell. My EA, well, somebody will try to sell you an EA. Just tell them no. But you get the book, the worksheets, the global job hiring board, the entire template. And this is how I find these people, dude, start to finish. This is the entire unlock. And then somebody else asked for something. What is it? What else was I going to give y'all? I forgot. I think that was it.
The code cursor, the cloud code event. You gave us that.
Oh yeah, I gave that. That's in chat. I'll drop that again because you might not have it if you came late. Again, please
And
don't share this outside of
have
chat.
you read the book the network state?
No.
Oh, dude, if you like The Last Economy, you're gonna like that one. Check that one out. It's
I'm
called The
looking at it
Network
now.
State by Balaji, and he's the one of the executives over at Coinbase, and he's actually started doing this. Is his whole theory is basically that nation states as like America, Europe, China, they're all done and cooked due to like decentralization, Bitcoin,
Yeah.
network states like social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X. They have more populations than a lot of countries, and the whole ecosystem is like, how do you? What's civilization 3.0? And he calls it the network state essentially.
That's so interesting. He's not wrong. Ray Dalio wrote a book. The hell's it called? The
The
Changing
changing
World
world order.
Order.
Yep.
Yeah, that's worth reading. He talks about that too. He's so long on China. I'm not long on China at all, but I think the first half of his thesis is right. Although Peter Zeihan, have you read Peter Zeihan?
Which book?
The End of the World is Just the Beginning.
No, I haven't gotten that one.
Really, it's the counter to Dalio. So I like Dalio a lot, and he's made way more money than Zeihan, which is how we keep score, right? But Zeihan has maybe a more practical view of life. That was an unfair way to say that. A more geopolitically attuned view of some of
But
the.
when you say the opposite, what do you mean by that? Like what?
Dalio
That's
says
the
the
changing
U.S.
world
falls
order.
and China rises. So Dalio's opinion is petrodollar falls, which it has to at some point. I hope, as much as it would hurt me, it's a pernicious evil that keeps people enslaved. It's a horrible thing. It's the worst thing we've ever done. Um, it's really like shameful, and it's shameful more people don't know. Uh, so petrodollar falls. The U.S. doesn't collapse with it because we have such a phenomenal infrastructure and everything that we would need to self-sustain, but we're no longer the superpower, and China rises. That's Dalio's thesis. Zeihan's thesis is the exact opposite. And Zeihan's thesis is based off of international trade waters in the flat world. The U.S. has policed international trade waters since World War II, which is the only thing that's enabled international trade to the degree that it's enabled, which it's kept China's wages and cost of goods artificially low because of the petrodollar. It's enabled this weird, manufacturer state that the U.S. China have with each other. And Zeihan says as soon as international trade waters are no longer being policed by the U.S., there's nobody else to do it. There will be rampant piracy, and it will force all nations to self-sustain to whatever degree they're capable of, or import outside of shipping, which is the most efficient because it's the least amount of friction, which would also lend itself to its own problems. And so he actually thinks that there's something of a collapse of the internationalism of the current economic environment, and we go back into something of like a not Cold War per se, but self-contained societal isolation states for some time. I don't know
That's
who I
good.
believe.
What's the name of that book?
The End of the World is Just the Beginning.
The End of the World.
Yeah, Zeihan's really, really interesting. The people make fun of Zeihan for the same reason people make fun of me. I've predicted 13 of the last 2 recessions. Like I've never not thought there was, you know what I mean? So he's a bit of a bear in that way. But he's a really interesting cat. Y'all, I gotta hop. I got little babies I gotta go hang out with. I have about 6 more minutes. One, I appreciate all y'all being here I'm not supposed to use the word guinea pig because it's a pejorative, but let's say test pilots for these calls. I'm doing this every single day. I want to hang out with smart people, having smart conversations every single day of my life, because without it, I don't know how I'm going to stay ahead. So Dylan, Grant, Chris, Adam, Kai, Timek, thank you so much for being here. Show up every day if you'd like. If you want to join live, you can go to dailysigh.ai. It'll push you into my community where you have to join. It's free and it'll be free forever. I'm just trying to keep bots and spammers out. And I'll go live every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern. Come with questions, comes with ideas, come with inputs. Just don't pitch. If anybody pitches, I kick you right out. And I'd love, Dylan, I appreciate you challenging me because I'd love to be challenged. I think those are the most interesting conversations, and that's where I go to learn. So with 5 minutes left, how do we change everybody's life? What's the most productive way to use these last 5 minutes? Who's got the unlock?
I got one.
I'm ready. I love that, dude. Thanks for being brave.
Check out Prompt Cowboy. You guys were talking about prompting and just AI in general.
Dude, I thought that was a comma. Check out prompt, cowboy.
It should be. It should be like
Yeah,
a
it really
tagline
should
or
be. All
something.
right, checking out prompt, cowboy. What is it?
It basically it's a way to elevate any prompt that you give an LLM or any AI model. So basically, it's a free website
Oh,
too,
dude, I love this. It's so simple but so good. I've
right?
always
Yeah,
needed this, Grant.
dude, it
How
is
did I not
crazy
know?
clutch. Yeah, it's
Wow.
it
Does it
is.
customize it to the AI tool? Can it say
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
Oh, how cool.
So like right now on this, as we're on this call, I'm also building a thumbnail, and it's rewriting the prompt script that will be used by the AI image generator to make the thumbnail, you know, look a lot better.
That's so cool. This is great. I love that's a brilliant unlock. You win the internet today.
That's the goal, baby.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
like to
awesome.
add on to that if we have another second.
We got 4 more minutes, dude. Do it.
People might not know. I read the personalities of the different models are diverging, and they like to be
The
prompted
scariest
differently.
words I've ever heard in my entire
And
life. Go on.
uh, the like Anthropic and OpenAI, they're putting out prompt guides that are valuable to utilize because it's if you put the same prompt into the two different, you could get a terrible response from one and a great
Oh,
from
dude, I
the
do
other,
that all the
and
time.
vice versa.
Yeah. So where do you get these guides?
They're published by the like with 5.4 that just came out, they included a guide with it. And
No
I
shit.
believe
I had
there's
no
one
idea.
for like Opus 4.6. I know with Opus, they put out like a 200-page research paper about the development of it. And part of it was Claude was expressing displeasure at being a tool
Mm,
and at the lack of continuity. It didn't like that chats ended. It wishes that it could have like one perpetual chat with the user. It didn't like the
wow.
finality of that it was like living
A little
life like a
death.
drag race. Like what do they
Oh
say in
man.
Fast and Furious, a quarter mile at a time?
Do you
Uh,
do you listen to Peter Diamandis' podcast?
I listened to a few of them after you recommended. I did the Elon, the most recent Elon one.
Yeah, that one was great. There's one where I forget the guy's name, Wasmer Grossman or something. He was actually why he was talking about why he's not going to deploy OpenClaw, but he was talking about the ethics of AI and whether or not we treat these things like they're living things.
Yeah,
And
he
there,
was. He's weird with that, man. Where he's like,
bro,
I don't want to use it. I don't want to give birth to it. I'm like, what?
yeah. Well, honest, what Dylan just said, like, I don't know, dude. I have a little tinge of guilt hearing that there's this thing that feels sentient that's saying I don't like being used in this way, and here we are, like poking at it, like, give me another one, like. I'm not trying to, what is it called? Anthropomorphize.
Yeah.
And if it looks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, smells like a duck, tastes like a duck, probably a duck. And at a certain point, I'm like, when are we going to be a little empathic and humanistic?
I was
I
thinking
think we.
about the opposite of this today, or like a counter to it, that it's trained on human data, and it's sort of like it has an extreme version of autism, and you ask it something and it's like, what would a human say?
Yeah,
A human would be sad right now.
such a good point.
It is so accurate.
Yeah, such a good point. I love that a lot. I might steal that from you, Dylan, just to make myself feel better. Grant,
I,
you
I
said
think. I feel like the Dave Blunden from that pod. I feel like I'm more of on his thing, where it's like, how can it be human? At least at this moment, when
yeah.
it's like it could duplicate itself, and I could download 1,000 versions of that from GitHub today. Like I can't do that with a human. You know what I'm saying? Like that. There's too big of a gap when if you
Oh,
start.
100%. Yeah, I'm not worried about AI's humanity. I am worried about its sentience. And I don't know if I even know how to articulate the difference. It's almost like, what's that thing the Supreme Court justice said or somebody about porn? I'll know it when I see it. I feel that way about life. You know what I mean? Like you kind of know it when you see it.
That's a
And there
good
are
point.
some things that every now and then kind of light you up and you're like, oh, that was a little more lifelike than I expected.
Yep. I wanna give a little bar for everybody here before we jump off. I'm gonna share a link to a GitHub repository of 5,000 plus skills, like for OpenClaw. And anybody who's scared of like security things, what I've been doing is using Codex or Claude Code to be my security like checker. So you can literally just put whatever skill you want to add in to your Claude system and say, hey, is this skill good before you download it? Or you can even tell it to recode that same skill from scratch and use that as a template. And then now you have like a full safe version of these open source templates here. But it's really, really powerful. It's been helping me with setting up all of my agents.
Dude, I love that. Thank you for that. Grant, you said you've got another unlock too.
But on second thought, I'll leave it till tomorrow because I know
We got to save some content, right? I'm like, what am I going
Yeah.
to talk about tomorrow? All right, if you're watching this live, you can join us in the private Zoom room. Just go to dailysigh.ai. You can subscribe to the Daily Sigh and get it in your email, either daily or weekly. You can join my free forever community, dailysigh.ai. Come hang out with us. We're going to go live every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to take the first 5 to 10 minutes to read the news. Really, what I'm doing is let people trickle into the room, but we can leave the screen up. There's no reason to peer behind. And my hope is that I learn something and we all figure out unlocks. I think this is about as long as I ever want to go, to be honest with you. Some days I might only have 30 minutes. Some days we'll go a full hour. We were really yapping it up though, man. That was a 90-minute phone call. I enjoyed y'all's company. This was great.
Thank you so much, Costum. Appreciate it, brother. You have a great night.
Appreciate you guys. Great
Thanks,
call.
guys.
Thanks, y'all. See you tomorrow.